everybody. Please welcome to the stage the king himself, Gregg Berger.
I took the ramp only because I had a promising career as a runway model, and just thought I'd do it one more time. Hey, I forgot to mention last night that my hair grew back thicker. I don't recommend the strategy that I went through. It's not worth it. Happy to have it. Hey, I'm so glad to be here. The size of the panel. Boy, are we far apart.
Quite far along, me.
Are you afraid of me?
I wasn't, but... Amazing. Who was here last night at ClubCon? Your show hands?
How funny was that? Was David Wallace's name named because he kept pointing out his co-writers and his wife, Grace, for having had the idea that became the script, but he was definitely a prominent presence in the writing of the script as well. He never names himself. Bravo, David Wallace. It was so good.
It's taken a good few years, but we've got a lot of homegrown talent in the TF Nation team. Maybe in another decade or so, they too could become professionals. Oh, I've not got David in the room. I can't roast him when he's not in the room. No, it was awesome. Really, really good stuff last night.
It was some serious mashup of franchises and just things that never happened. It was so much fun. Hopefully for you too.
Yeah, it certainly was. So Greg, this is your fourth time at Birmingham over there. Hello.
Oh boy. I've lost count. Yes, I go all the way back to auto assembly, and so do some of you. And I kind of woke up there to just conventions in general and fandom in general and what became realignment in relationship to Transformers in general. And I began to do homework into what was really going on in the overall ins and outs of the franchise and how it was about more than just what we initially laid down, and how fandom just kind of has a incredible way of loving and being loyal and forgiving and allowing for twists and changes within the franchise and the story and the storyline and the canon. And I mean, it's been through incarnations and changes and cast changes, and yet I can sit on the internet and see an image of G1 Grimlock, and in the time that I'm online, I will see appear, someone will tag my name to that image. That's some kind of insane step toward immortality that people dream of, you know? And that happens in my real life. That's astonishing to me. I claim it. I want to say I earned it, but it's just like this magnificent thing in my real life. I love it, and I don't take it for granted. I really dig it.
So, absolutely.
For real.
You speak about the fandom and how important and immortal your role has been in Transformers. At what point, looking back, did you realise that sort of your part in it was so big? Was it at the time, back in G1?
No, I mean, cars say they can see around the next corner. Nothing can see around the next corner. You do what you do at the time you do it. My goal has always been, my goal will always continue to be, to exceed expectation in the job that you're doing at the time that you're doing it. With no sense of the future importance of it, the reach of it, whether it has a long life or a short life, it's simply your obligation to be present and to do it to the best of your ability. That's really important to me. That's my pride of workmanship. But there's no sense of future. If anybody had a sense of future with Transformers, it was Wally Burr, and it was his obsession with storyboards and with Bible and with, you know, he was going to do it till he got it right. And some people got defensive about wanting to get out of the studio when they thought it was done rather than when he thought it was done. But, you know, all power to him. He was going to do it till it was done to his satisfaction. He wasn't a taskmaster, you know. He was firm but fair, but he wanted what he wanted. And look at what happened. I'm going to sneeze at some point. In terms of longevity. So he was right. Everybody who wanted to do it fast rather than his way was not right. Because here we are, and I sit at my table, and people introduce me to their kids, and on less rare with each passing year, introduce me to their grandkids. And everybody who gets reintroduced to the G1 characters and the G1 design and the G1 storyline and the G1 arcs and twists and turns wants to go along for the full ride again. Animation has gotten more sophisticated, you know, recording and audio has gotten more sophisticated, but they want to take that ride. So that importance has defined itself. Not that anybody could see it through a telescope and say, oh, this is going to be around forever, and oh, this is going to be important. It's not. It's just simply, it's got a quality that had staying power, but not that anyone could have predicted it or would have predicted it. It just happened the way it happened. And I've been the beneficiary, and I've been allowed to go along for the ride. And here I am, still going along for the ride, and happy to do so. And happy to do so. Where do you ought to creep in somewhere at the end. And happy to do so.
So during, when you say all those long recording days with Wally in the studio, what was your impression at the time of the show? Before you knew, obviously just said, before you knew its popularity?
Well, I was kind of the new kid, you know. This was happening for me relatively early in my career. And I had done a show called The Littles for Wally, but it was basically a neutral character of the dad in The Littles. And it's a really sweet show, and I'm proud of that work. But that was one of the first animated things I'd ever done. And Wally, he was happy with me for that, but he had thought of me as particularly versatile until he saw me on stage, which is, and will always be my first love. And I was on stage in a thing that was basically aerobics for actors, and I was in and out of characters in this wildly insane play. And he said, holy cow, I didn't know you did like that. He said, I'm going to consider you for everything. And after seeing it, he didn't know I was in it, he just happened to be in the audience. And he said, I've got these two enormous projects, and there's going to be an enormous amount of casting, and I'm going to think of you for everything. And one is Transformers, and one is credited for multiple characters on both shows. All of the original casts of both shows are multi-voice characters. This was in a time, and this is really important, when there was much fewer people in the really, really active voice acting community, because diversity was rewarded. And in the current climate, there's and I totally understand this, there's a real emphasis on diversity in casting. I get it. Came up with Hank Azaria in The Simpsons. There was a big thing about Apu, his East Indian character in The Simpsons, that it should be played by someone authentically East Indian. I get it. I totally get it. Well, I played a character called Spirit in G.I. Joe, a Native American character. My wife is of Native American descent. I get it, but Spirit was a warrior, a noble warrior, and I played those characteristics. I have two things to say about that. One is because diversity was kind of rewarded in those days. We all played all ethnicities, all roles, so things were cast from within that these days would be specifically saved and cast diversely, which opens up a lot of casting. I get it, I approve it, I'm all in favor of that. This is a tangent, but someone came to my signing table at a G.I. Joe centric, specific show, and he introduced himself. He said, "I'm from the Navajo Nation." And I thought, well, here we go. And I get it. I'm going to take heat, and I don't disagree with that. I'm ready. And he said, instead, "I'm from the Navajo Nation. I grew up with no identity, no representation in the media." He said, "And what you did for me with your portrayal of Spirit as a warrior, as a noble warrior, gave me a presence, gave me a voice, gave me a sense of identity." I said, "Get over here and give me a hug. You just made my day, my week, my month." I said, "That is so beautiful and that is so touching, because that's all I wanted to convey. Obviously, I don't have the credentials, but I have the inner clock. I have the characteristics. In fact," I said to him, I said, "his worldview and my worldview are more in sync than almost any character that I've ever been asked to play. Because for Spirit, possibility and impossibility of states of mind. In my mind, there is only the possible, that which can be done." So that's where I came from. And he came to say thank you. And the reason I come is to say thank you from the other side of the table. Anyway, it was beautiful. But there's a lot of, nobody understands it better than me, diversity in casting. So instead of a dugout or a bus bench of community from which they cast, now it's like a bleachers or a stadium. And so someone is so ethnically correct for the casting that is done that the available casting agencies, casting pools are enormous, because they want to have someone available for every correct casting category. And that's just the way it is. And I get it. I'm not opposed to it. But I also like when diversity and versatility is a better word, is rewarded. That's the fun of it.
So speaking of versatility, I'm very happily reminded, obviously, you see all the different characters you've voiced over the years in Transformers. Obviously, Grimlock being the probably number one.
Long haul was fun too, you know. Yeah. We don't like moving all that dirt. That's said. He does like being part of Devastator, I gotta tell you that. That's very cool. But when he signed up to be part of Devastator, they didn't make it extremely clear to him that he was going to represent part of the crowd area. I mean, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. I love Ron Paul.
These are the names, surely. So
remove.
So how did you find playing so many different characters across the show? How did you get into those different characters? Did you ever have conversations with yourself?
It's not heavy lifting. It's what I love. The more, I don't know, some people are prima donna about it. I'm a workhorse. The more they throw at me, the more I love it. I come to play, and my idea of fun is having more to do than I have time to do it. I like my brain being busy. I like being challenged. The whole thing is you throw all this stuff between your ears and you stir it around, and the goal is to surprise yourself at the microphone at the same time you're surprising them. You want to keep it spontaneous. You don't want to be over-rehearsed. You just want to play, That's it. You can't mistake it for work, and you can't beat it to death talking about your artistry. It's fun, and we're just a rare breed of strange people. Spend 2 hours in a booth with Frank Welker, and you'll know what I mean. He doesn't know how to stop creating. It's just that motor never stops running. And so many people are the same. In the newer crowd, Fred Tattash, or same thing. There's no off switch. It's just magnificent to watch. And I do San Diego Comic-Con. I do a lot of Comic-Cons where there's a next generation. And in fact, I'm kind of sought after. I'm patting myself on the back. A lot of people have been referred to me, and in fact, some higher profile, I can't name names, younger on-camera on-camera people who have been given animation opportunities and they feel uncomfortable making the transition, have been referred to me. It's easier than they make it. People create obstacles that are obstacles of their own making, just to help them make the transition to animated recording. And I try to take the work aspect out of it and help to teach them the play aspect of it and how to have the same fun and ease that most of them have on camera. But it's hard to look at Mr. Microphone and have a relationship for many people. Anyway, I love the smell of a booth. I love the bad coffee. I love the good gossip. All of it is so rich. And every time I step up to a microphone, I realize, I really do take the time to realize how many people are not being given that opportunity at that moment. That microphone in that studio, in that soundproof room where you hear that door go boom, and all noise goes away. It's a sacred space, and I feel it, and it's been reserved for me, and I don't take that for granted. It's a blessed room, and it's mine, and I own it for that period of time. And if you're ever in that position, if this is something you want to do, for God's sake, once you get in there, don't waste their time. Don't make that where you learn. Make that where you blow them away. Walk in there with your head held high and do what you came to do.
Amazing. That is great advice. Great advice. You spoke about bad coffee and good gossip. Have you got any good stories you can tell from your time in the booth and in the studio on set for the Transformers?
Oh, man. We just had a generally good time. In fact, if they used the footage from the theatrical release that we just did, that they left on the floor, they would have had to change the rating. There's a whole other movie on the floor that they didn't cut together and release. It's dirty jokes and fun jokes, and we're a community that is kind of known as readers. So it's kind of articulate fun and smart people and silly people, and there's stories that have been told and told and told. Same guy, Frank Welker, who's a walking sound effects compendium. He can make the sound of the whole studio, the other side of the studio glass, arcing, and send the entire engineering crew into a tailspin in the middle of a recording session. Or create the sound of an imaginary payphone where it doesn't exist, and you turn around and look, he's dropping imaginary coins into an imaginary payphone, making a call, and you're hearing both sides of the conversation while you're in the middle of a recording session. It's just, there's a lot of clowning that goes on just to sort of break the ice and just keep it feeling creative instead of overly important. We're just a wonderful bunch of misfits. And then you look at Frank and he'll just look up and say, well, it was this or college.
Amazing. And do you find the industry to be the same kind of atmosphere in some of the jobs you've done more recently?
No, it's all different. And I'm sorry for the generation that's coming in right now, because the whole world is getting digitized at the expense of just that in-person aspect. Things are getting too sterile. There's not enough collective group activity. There's too much. There's a lot of recording that's done via Zoom. There's a lot of recording that's, we were talking about it in a panel earlier. There are people that have been on a series with each other for 2 seasons, and they've never met, because all of the recording has been done isolated, alienated, one character at a time, and they're not even in the same studio at the same time. And I don't know how you get that contagious sense of fun, or that contagious sense of urgency. Transformers, we were saving the galaxy, for God's sake. Well, me saving galaxy, but everything is contagious. If it's Garfield, or if it's The Simpsons in Springfield, which is still recorded ensemble style, they insist on it. They have the budget for it. I don't know if you know it, but I'm the understudy for Sideshow Bob. Kelsey Grammer is never available for table reads and records, so once a year I'm allowed to try to kill Bart Simpson. I go in for the table read, I go in for the record, and then Kelsey comes in. It's his character, but more power to him. He comes in and, according to his schedule, he does the dialogue replacement later when his schedule allows for it. But, it's crumbs, but it's delicious crumbs, and I love being associated with them and seeing all my old friends and them seeing me. It couldn't be more fun, and for the time that I'm there, I'm in the show, and then the dialogue gets replaced. But they have the budget for it, they insist on it, but it's a rarity to be in an ensemble recording anymore. But there's a difference when we, as actors, are allowed to sort of just play with each other, be in the same room. I wish everyone still did it. I don't know why it's so difficult to find the budget and the time and the space to do that. I think something is lost. You know, you asked if it's different. It's different.
That's interesting. What would you say your favorite show, video game, series, franchise that you've worked on has been?
It's really a tie for first place. I'm like a be here now guy. Whatever I'm working on is my favorite thing. My favorite role is being a father. Right? That's easy. But just sheer longevity, it's a tie between Transformers and Garfield, just because each of them have been decades of my life. But my God, I've been Agent K on the animated Men in Black. I'm the Growl on the Real Monsters. I get to use my high voice, my chest voice, my low voice. I get to use them all, don't you see? It is probably your open your monster parts. I have all these anger management challenged characters, and I'm not, by the time I leave it all at work, I'm not angry at anyone by the time I'm done. I can't answer the question. I love everything I throw myself into, and by throw myself into, I mean throw myself into it. I'm all in.
Amazing. How did you feel when you got to revive your role as Grimlock in the last one? I remember when the video games came out, like a decade ago now?
What was Devastation?
Yeah, there's also Devastation and all of Cybertron, was it Grimlock was in, yeah?
Anytime anybody calls back, it's so flattering you can't even believe it. And most recently, now I'm the voice of the Robo-Sen robot, which auto-transforms, which starts yelling at you before you even get the box open. It's just, I don't know if you've been by the table, but if you haven't, you've got to go by and talk to. I mean, with mine, which I have and proudly brag on all day and all night, it's me talking to me. That's kind of, there's something weirdly weird about that. But all of these things are just feathers in my cap, and it just make me realize how fortunate I am. Fall of Cybertron was different because Matt Teacher, the game developer, was so smitten with his obsession with me being a deeper, darker, more cinematic, more realistic, more savage Grimlock, which has been my dream all along, that we worked together to sort of choreograph how that was going to happen and how it was going to not be at the expense of any of the other directions Grimlock has gone, but to make it deeper, darker, and richer. So that was just a dream come true, magnificent, plus all the flattery of just being asked to do it again and being asked to take it in a new direction and sort of recreate it with a sense of the past, but a sense of the future. So, it's fantastic.
And have you played the game? Have you played much of it yourself?
If it fell to my eye-hand coordination to save the planet, we're all in big trouble. I love watching somebody who knows what they're doing play the game. I'll sit behind someone for an extended period of time, but I am not a good player of games. And if it's a driving game and you want to go straight to the bottom of the river and go off the bridge, and I'm your guy.
Amazing. Okay, I think we've probably got time about 20 minutes worth of questions. I'm sure, oh yeah, there we go, lots of hands. If we could get the mic and run around, that would be great.
If I don't know the answer, I'll make something up.
If we could try and keep questions fairly concise so we can try and get through as many as possible, that would be great.
Hi Greg, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and optimism with us. My question was regarding the recent script reading you did for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
Were you surprised to be asked for that because you weren't originally in the first episode? And how exactly did you get the roles of the narrator and cliff jumper, originally played by, I think, Vincent, Victor Caroli, and Casey Kasem?
Well, I was flattered when they said what episodes they were doing. I said, well, I'm not even in them. They said, well, of course we know you're not in them, but those are what we're doing. I said, am I supposed to impersonate them? They said, no, we don't want you to impersonate them. Everyone knows who they are. That would just ring false, and we just want you to fill the space. That's all. In fact, we are specifically instructing you not to impersonate them. We want you to fill the space. It's important to us that you be at the table because we want to convey as much of the essence of, let's be honest. And they said this to me. Sadly, too many of the people that we would like to have at the table are not available to be at the table. Mostly because they've passed, but some of them are just physically not able to join us. But no, specifically do not impersonate, just do what you would do if you were handed the script as a storyteller. So, you know, I was happy to accommodate and flattered to be asked. But thanks for the question.
Yeah, great question. Okay, got one, it's down the middle.
Yeah. Hi, Greg.
Hey!
Good place for coming. Two quick questions. One, which character that you boys did you just click with as a person and immediately got it right? And which character did you put the most effort and the most difficult? How do I make this character come to life? How do I get the voice right?
I'm missing sort of the essence of the question.
So
which what?
Which character did you like click with like on a emotional level? Like you got like it's like Grimlock. Did you bond with Grimlock?
Bingo, right on.
Yeah. And which character was the hardest for you to get right?
I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. For me, it's like a Vulcan mind meld. If the writer is talking to me, I try to read the breakdown like the writer wrote it. And I look at it like a detective looking for clues. And then you'd have to know me. I get excited. My blood pressure goes, I'm sure there are sensors in my brain that light up when you hand me a script. And I feel collaborative with the writer and the artist, and I respect them both, and I look for the clue, like I'm a detective, like it's a mystery. And like the writer is giving me clues, and the artist is giving me clues, and I give them both the highest respect, and I just put those clues together. It's fun, and I don't think there's a character that I don't instantly click with, because I start like assimilating data and information. It's a thing that is like a party in my head every time. It's not that it's never difficult. Something starts. We had a poster that we used to have in our house. I have to find it. It just says, go to your studio and create something. Things start clicking as soon as I get the pieces. I always have an idea. I just do.
It's a superpower. Amazing. Okay, we've got a question wherever the mic is. Oh, you've got one going out. Perfect. Got 2 minutes. Amazing. Thank you. So middle.
Hi, Greg. Hey. Can you tell us about your experience playing Baby on Frasier?
Yeah. There's a cockatoo in the building that Niles Crane lives in Frasier. I worked on the show for 2 years. I sat in the green room with the entire cast of Frasier. I played the voice. Niles had a cockatoo named Baby, who in the first episode gets stuck to his head and puts his claws in his head, and they have to go to the hospital and he won't let go. Anyway, he gets attached to the bird. This bird got such big laughs, and they wanted me to record live. There's a number of animals and off-camera characters that have been a whole separate career for me, mostly a Paramount. It just has turned out that way. I played a foul-mouthed bird in Hot in Cleveland. I played this talking bird in Frasier. I played an Orkin Nagachomp for 2 seasons in Mork and Mindy. Follows Mork around. But these animals and creatures that I did, they all wanted them live on set in front of the audience. And every time, including Baby, the audience would laugh so loud at the bird, and the bird or the creature or whatever it was, that the bird on camera would start mocking and doing bird things. Then the audience would laugh louder, then the bird would do things, then the audience, so I would fill from the microphone that I was at, because that was what I was supposed to do. Anyway, the gag was that every time the guests in the building would leave Niles' apartment, Niles and Frasier were like 2 hens, and they would just gossip about whoever just left. One was too heavy a drinker, one was just like wildly horny, and one would, whatever it was, they would never stop talking about the people in the building. So Niles wants to be accepted and has this very snooty dinner party at his apartment. And in the middle of the dinner party, the bird all of a sudden goes, Peter's a lech, Carol's a lush, Stephanie's horny. And the guests are horrified, and then the bird starts doing the bird thing. Anyway, they had me in all these episodes. I was there every week, and the show ran so long because of the laughs the bird was getting that they always had to cut the extraneous. The one thing that they were able to cut was the bird. But I was in so many episodes, and it ended up appearing just like peripherally. They would refer to the bird, but they cut out the part that was making the show like 10 minutes too long because the audience was screaming. Anyway, it was hilarious. I can't believe you're asking about Baby. I don't even remember what Barry the foul-mouthed parrot in Hot in Cleveland, he was just totally foul-mouthed. They had to bleep the bird, but they had me just talking foul off stage. Anyway, a whole other thing. And Mork and Mindy, the Nagachomp, Bebo, he was being run from a servo off stage, so I was next to the guy with the radio control, and that thing ran into every piece of furniture except to go where he was supposed to go. So that cost them a fortune, and the audience was insane over that. There's a lot of things that go on that you don't know about that cost a lot of money that they didn't anticipate spending.
Awesome, great question. Okay, got one over the bottom left.
Hi Greg, thank you. My question is, with things like the multiverse and all the different narrative arcs, over the next 10 years, by the time we sort of hit half centenary, the 50-year mark, where would you personally like to see Grimlock as the character progress towards?
I'd have a lot of fun. I love the direction that Bumblebee started to take the live-action Transformers in. I think there's some new directorial directions that Transformers live-action has taken. I would love to see Grimlock re-enter in a capacity that doesn't involve being mistaken by Optimus Prime for a polo pony. With all due respect.
Awesome, great.
Hi. Hello, Greg.
Hey.
Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your soul-touching story last night.
Thanks for being my audience, my ears.
Yes. You're an inspiration, and I think I speak on behalf of everyone that always, God bless you, and I hope you have a long, and very happy life.
Like I said, heroes come in all shapes and sizes.
My question is, and this is targeted outside of Transformers, when you audition for roles, have you ever auditioned for a role but been given a different character?
So often, it's so often, and that's to the credit of the casting community. That's what a good casting person should do. They should be listening with an eye not only for what they originally thought of you for, but with an eye for what you brought in. Their eyes and mindset should be open, the same as an improvisational actor's mind should be open. They should be thinking about what else might this person be right for. It happens all the time, and it often happens to everyone's benefit. Yes, that's an ideal situation. I've been the beneficiary of it, and I've also said, you know what, I'm not right for this, but you know who might be? And I've helped people get work where I thought someone might be better suited for it than me.
Awesome. Okay, that's the mic on. I can't quite see. Yes, there you go.
Hi Greg, I want to say thank you for coming, and I think on behalf of everyone here, it's an absolute honor to have you. My question is, if you were called to be on the cast of the next Transformers show, whatever it is, and you were cast to play Grimlock, but you could choose what direction to take your character, whether it be goofy like the 80s cartoon, or serious and aggressive like Fall of Cybertron, which way would you take Grimlock?
Can you restate that more simply?
Right, sorry. If you could play Grimlock again in the next Transformers show, would you make him silly like the 80s cartoon, or more serious like in Fall of Cybertron?
If I had my druthers, I'd be more badass. I think it's more fun. But I would be true to the entire picture. I'd bring in elements of all of it. I think I'm capable of putting all the pieces in and making them fit in a way that would make sense. I like taking it wherever it goes. I trust the writers and I trust the artists, and I like being a collaborative part of the mix.
Great. Okay, question down here at the front.
So Greg.
Hello.
Hello. My question is about Men in Black, the series. What was it like?
Shoot him, Jay.
What was your history on the show, really? Because you took over from Ed Ross's voice of Agent K.
First of all, it was under the incredibly capable direction of a friend of this room. Sue Blue was the director. Sue Blue has enough energy to direct this room and the rest of the rooms in the hotel. Sue Blue is a dynamo as a voice talent and as a director. She is a great captain of a ship in a voice record session. I did not do the first season of the show. I don't know why they recast, but they recast. I was asked to step in. This is another two-sided sword. I've been recast, and I have been the person who stepped in for someone. That's why you can't get too attached to anything. There are heartaches associated with any part that you love so much. There are things that are outside of your control, and things that get taken away, and things that get given. This was a given. And they asked me to do a nice homage and tip of the hat to Tommy Lee Jones, and I made it my own, but I also honored that. And once Keith Diamond and I got in a room, the magic happened, and we had the best time, the best writers. That's the 4 seasons that I did ended on a cliffhanger. We all assumed we were coming back. It stands on its own, but we were just shocked when it didn't come back to resolve. We had David Warner as our arch evil alpha bad guy. We had fantastic guest stars writing. It was all so high echelon. I loved doing that series, and of course I love being under the direction of Sue Blue. I also did Toxic Crusaders that she directed.
Amazing. Okay, got a question down here.
Hi. I just want to ask a question. You and Michael Bell did a video game series years ago called Soul Reaver Defiance. I don't know if you remember it. It's quite an old game now by today's standards. In a video that Michael did, he said he was very surprised how adult and grown up the writing was for a video game at the time. So I was just wondering, when did you first realize that writing for something like animation or video games can actually be very, very serious and be much more adult than what people think it is?
You realize it in the doing of it. When interactive games in particular, when they go dark, they go deep dark, and you get into a situation in a booth and you realize that it's all the marbles. You can feel it in the room. But everything has its own, everything lives in its own universe, and normally it's a point of pride to the game developer or the show developer to, they want to bring you into their vision, and every time they do, whether it's a silly universe or a galactic universe, whether it's light or dark or silly or important, before they put you in their orchestra. When I auditioned for Dave Filoni for Clone Wars and later came back in Star Wars Rebels, he said, I think of my cast as my orchestra. And he said, I need my instruments to perform together seamlessly. That's his way of visualizing his concept. But I think before you get a seat in his orchestra, just for lack of a better way to visualize it, every director, every showrunner has their own pride way of describing it. But if you're not a team player in that vision, they don't want you on their team. So it's just artists talking to artists. It's just a form of communication. And it's also, there's little tests built in, whether you're literate in the way that they're literate. And sometimes it's a silly animated project, and that's a different conversation. And they want to know that you're silly in the way of having fun, that they're silly in the way of having fun. They're all separate conversations. But if it is adult, and if it is deep and dark or razor focused, they want to know that you're on board with that. So you read the room.
All right, we've got a question over here. Probably can take maybe two more, maybe 2, 3 more after that.
Hello, Greg.
Hey.
My question is more a personal one for you about, I guess,
I'll pay you by the end of the month.
is there any characters that you've done that have really stuck with you, and do you catch yourself saying phrases from them just in your day-to-day life? Like, do you say "no bozo" when you're making a cup of coffee or something? Is there a time that you say any of those phrases out of context to yourself?
Yeah, that's one of them. I attach, I personalize all my work. Not to an obsessive degree, but yeah, I'm all in while I'm all in. I detach too. I have a beautiful life and a beautiful wife, and I'm so blessed to be one of the fortunate ones. I have so many deserving colleagues who haven't had the same run of good luck. I've raised a family, I've held down a mortgage, I have a seemingly normal life, and not without challenge, but I love my private life and I love my professional life. And the characters, I love them when I'm doing them. I can leave them at the studio. I love my private life. I can leave it at the driveway when I go to the studio. I'm real good at being where I am while I'm where I am.
Okay, for 1, 2 more questions down here, and then we'll probably have to wrap up, I'm afraid.
Hello, Greg, it's me again. I've been with you guys before. Anyways, this is my question here, and it's about Skyfire, because I know that due to House Grown Man having some trouble with the character, he was quietly phased out. How did you feel about that?
It was simply confusing for me, but there's different tiers when you're involved with a show. I'm the last one in and the first one out. I arrived at work. They said, nothing changes about what you're doing. It's still a Skyfire script. Don't change a word of the script. Don't change anything in your script except where it says Skyfire. Please scratch that out. Please replace Skyfire with Jetfire. Where it says your name in other people's dialogue, please scratch out Skyfire and replace it with Jetfire. So it had nothing to do with me. I wasn't to change any interpretation. I wasn't to change any through line. I wasn't to change anything. Now, me personally, I suspect, really strongly suspect, because this is where we were headed with the Fire in the Sky arc. We had such an interesting character, such an interesting, conflicted, noble, valiant, messed up character, that he was headed for a very prominent spot as the series progressed. I think they backed off that prominent spot because it came with too many legal possible obstacles. Once there's a glitch in the system legally, I think it just became easier to give him a more secondary position. But I love that character.
Great question. Last question, everyone else to the questions.
Hiya. As an actor, reading is an integral part of what you do. So my question is, in your downtime, to take acting off the table for a moment, to relax recreationally, what kind of things do you like to read? Any specific genres, for example, or do you have like a favourite book of all time?
Favorite author is Kurt Vonnegut. I like casual reading. I'm kind of, and this is just in the past decade and more in the current world we find ourselves in, but I've become kind of a news junkie. I'm always afraid I'm going to miss something, and unfortunately it's really possible at any given moment to miss something. So I spend too much time in the newspaper or in Time Magazine or Newsweek just trying not to miss something. But I like novels, but they have to be off in Vonnegut kind of ways. That's my favorite leisure activity. But these days, my wife and I binge watch Netflix and Hulu and Prime, but we do it as stimulus, not as sedative, and it's different. It's a very active, not passive entertainment. We do it as casting directors, we do it as directors, we do it as reviewers, and we watch and then we talk about it, and we talk specifically and intelligently about content and and casting and directing, and it's really, really enjoyable entertainment activity.
Awesome. Great, great questions. Thank you, everyone. I'm really sorry for those that had burning questions. Hopefully you still had a really good panel. Thank you very much, Greg. David, I believe you've got...
Yeah, we've got a little surprise for you.
Stop it!
Yes. I've got a question for you. Do you remember what you were doing in, like, March of 1985?
March of 1985, I was at an In-N-Out Burger.
They're all done?
Yeah, skinny fries, and I think it was the #2 combination.
Well, we want to take you back.
I don't know what I was doing in March of 19.
We want to take you back in time a little bit, because as part of the audio recordings that we have found, we have found Outback's audition. Would you like to hear your audition for Outback?
No, I would not.
We want to hear it. Roll it.
Right, okay. Greg doesn't want to hear it. You want to hear it. So who wins here? Very short, very quick. Are you ready? Hopefully this brings back some memories for you.
Gregg Berger as Outback, and take us one.
Oh, say, nothing like a good Decepticon hunting a bush. Hello. Wait, I found some tracks.
Could be a little too soggy.
Oh, I say, nothing like a good Decepticon hunting a bush. I say, nothing like a good Decepticon hunting a bush. Hello. Wait, I found some tracks. Unless I'm very wrong, there's a red-winged, yellow-bellied Decepticreep nearby. Look out! The bush is teeming with the buggers! Hello. Wait, I found some tracks. Unless I'm very wrong. Hey.
There we go.
Get it on. Good. I say I hear him right now. He's got certain vowel sounds that make him the man for the job. Hearing Wally's voice, I'm about to cry. That was beautiful. Yes. Also, for dialect, there's certain vowel sounds that get me right into that dialect. Beautiful.